The call came from the Columbus Police Department. They said my father-in-law had been picked up in a raid on an illicit massage parlor. I needed to come get him. I lower my phone, a wave of exhaustion washing over me. He was obviously too terrified to let my mother-in-law find out, so he'd had the cops call me instead. I walked out of the bedroom, trying to figure out how to break this to my wife, Chloe, when I saw her staring at her phone, a look of pure ecstasy on her face. When she noticed me, she shot up from the couch, her expression hardening into one of arrogant disdain. "Leo, I want a divorce." "I passed the state civil service exam," she announced, her voice dripping with superiority. "I had the top score on the written portion. The job is a lock." She looked me up and down. "You can't keep up with me anymore." I stared at her, certain I'd misheard. Today was her birthday. I'd just gotten back from a business trip. I hadn't even gone home first. I'd driven straight from the airport to pick up the designer handbag I'd special ordered for her weeks ago. This had to be a joke. Some weird birthday prank. I pulled the beautifully wrapped gift box from behind my back and held it out to her. "Happy birthday, Chloe. Stop messing around." She didn't even glance at it. "I'm not messing around." She took the box without looking and tossed it onto the sofa like a piece of trash. "Leo, I'll say it again. A divorce. I'm not the same Chloe who needed you to lean on anymore. I'm starting a new chapter in my life, and you," she said, her eyes cold, "are just dead weight." My heart sank. All those years of marriage, all the sacrifices I'd made, and to her, I was just dead weight. Trying to salvage the moment, to shock her back to her senses, I blurted out the news I'd just received. "Chloe, just calm down for a second. The police just called. Dad was arrested in a vice raid. We have to go get him." I thought the news would snap her out of it, make her put this divorce nonsense on hold. But I was wrong. Chloe's face went from shock to pure, unadulterated disgust. Her voice turned sharp and shrill. "How could your father do something so disgusting? So humiliating? I'm about to start my new job. I will not let a stain like that ruin my background check. A divorce. I want a divorce right now." And just like that, I understood. She thought it was my dad. I looked at her face, twisted with rage and contempt, and I saw clearly, for the first time, how she truly felt about me and my family. Something inside me shattered. I wasn't going to correct her. Seeing my silence, Chloe only got angrier. "Why doesn't that disgusting old man just die? He's an embarrassment. So shameless at his age. Your family's rotten genes will poison my children." My parents were simple farmers, honest people who had worked hard their entire lives. They had never been insulted like this. I looked at her and felt a sudden urge to laugh. I thought about the last 5 years, about everything I had done for her family, especially for her worthless brother, Kevin. I'd paid off over $30,000 of his gambling debts. Every time, she'd cried in my arms, telling me how lucky she was to have me. Now all that goodwill was gone, fed to the dogs. I asked her one last time, "After everything I've done for your family, you feel nothing? No loyalty?" She laughed as if it were the funniest joke she'd ever heard, crossing her arms. "You did that willingly. Let's be honest, Leo. You knew you were punching above your weight. That was just you trying to compensate in advance." I stared at the woman before me, her makeup flawless, her face hideous. My heart hit rock bottom. She couldn't be bothered to waste another word on me. Impatiently, she pulled out her phone and made a call. "Mom, I passed. Top score on the written exam." I could hear my mother-in-law's piercing shriek of joy through the phone. A few minutes later, she and my brother-in-law, Kevin, burst through the door, beaming. The moment my mother-in-law, Sharon, saw me still standing in the living room, her face fell. "You jinx! What are you still doing here? Get out. Don't ruin my daughter's bright future." Sharon threw her arms around Chloe, tears welling in her eyes. "My brilliant girl, you're the star of this family. I always knew you were destined for bigger things. You were always meant to fly." As she spoke, she shot me a look out of the corner of her eye, her disgust unconcealed. Kevin chimed in with a smirk. "Congrats, sis. A real government employee now, drawing a state paycheck." He glanced at me. "Better stay away from the son of a convict. Don't want his bad luck rubbing off on you." Son of a convict. The word stabbed at me like needles. I lowered my eyes, hiding the cold, mocking glint in them. I decided to add a little more fuel to the fire. "Sharon, Chloe about my dad." "Who's Sharon to you? Don't you dare get familiar with me." My mother-in-law screeched, jumping as if her tail had been stepped on. After your father did something worse than an animal, you still have the nerve to stand here? Sign the divorce papers and get out. Don't dirty my house. Chloe's face was a cold mask as she pulled a pre-printed divorce agreement and a pen from her purse. She slapped them down on a coffee table in front of me. So, she'd had this ready all along, just waiting for the test results to come in so she could throw me out like garbage. Her voice was laced with contempt and impatience. There's nothing to split. Your family made the down payment on this condo, but the deed is in my name. Consider it compensation for the years of my youth I wasted on you. As for that beat-up old sedan of yours, take it with you. It's an eyesore. She paused, opened her purse again, and pulled out a few crisp $100 bills, slapping them on the table. Here's $500. Consider it a severance package. She looked down at me, a smirk playing on her lips. You need to accept reality. Let's make this a clean break. Don't come crawling back to me. I stare at the insulting stack of cash, remembering how just last week I'd paid off a $5,000 loan shark for Kevin. In that moment, I couldn't help but laugh. Kevin immediately backed his sister up. Sis, you're too soft. After all the years he held you back, you should be demanding damages, not giving him money. I say don't give him a dime. Just kick him to the curb. I didn't touch the $500, nor did I touch the divorce agreement. I simply lifted my head, my gaze landing calmly on Kevin's face. Kevin, that tab from last week, is it settled yet? Kevin's expression flickered, his eyes darting away. Sharon, like a mother hen protecting her chick, yanked Kevin behind her and screamed at me. Why are you bringing that up? Wasn't that your duty as his brother-in-law? We're family. Oh, my duty as his brother-in-law. I repeated, nodding slowly. I looked at the ugly, contorted faces of his family of three and felt nothing but a cold, hollow sense of absurdity. I was done talking. I reached out and picked up the pen from the table. At this movement, a flash of eager, unconcealable joy lit up Chloe and Sharon's eyes. Sign it. What are you waiting for? Sharon urged, terrified I might change my mind. Sign it and get the hell out. As if that wasn't enough, she added viciously, and don't even think about pulling any tricks to delay this, Leo. If you dare interfere with my daughter's background check, I will end you. I held the pen, but I didn't sign just yet. I paused, slowly raising my head, my eyes moving from one of their faces to the next. They watched me, suddenly wary, as if I were a cornered animal about to strike. I spoke each word clearly and deliberately. Fine, I'll sign, but I have one condition. A condition? You dare to make conditions? Sharon's voice shot up an octave, loud enough to shake the walls. You want to split the assets? I'll tell you what you'll get. Nothing. Not a damn thing. Chloe frowned, her eyes filled with suspicion. Leo, don't push your luck. A clean break is better for both of us. I almost laughed at how nervous they looked. Calmly, I stated my condition. About my father, don't tell my mother yet. She has a weak heart. The shock could kill her. Chloe froze, clearly not expecting this. Then, a deeper, more profound contempt filled her face. Huh, still playing the good son at a time like this. Leo, you truly make me sick. I ignored her taunts. Wasting another word on her felt like a waste of breath. I looked down, and without any further hesitation, I signed my name at the bottom of the divorce agreement. Finished, I walked back to the bedroom without a word. The door clicked shut behind me, sealing me off from their vile expressions. My decisiveness seemed to have caught them off guard. I could hear them whispering in the living room. Mom, he was too agreeable. You think he's planning something? That was Chloe. What could he plan? He's a nobody, Sharon said dismissively, though her voice held a trace of uncertainty. What if he shows up at your new office and makes a scene? Or reports you for something? Kevin added, fanning the flames. Exactly. Sis, a cornered animal will do anything. He's definitely jealous you got the state job. He wants to ruin your future. We have to watch him. I leaned against the back of the door, a cold smile spreading across my face as I listened to their analysis. Truly a family. They even shared the same paranoid delusions. Finally, I heard their decision. They weren't leaving tonight. The three of them would camp out in the living room, taking turns watching my door to prevent me from doing something desperate. I walked through the dark room. I pulled out my phone and sent a text to my oldest friend, Matt. Need a favor tomorrow. Meet me at the county courthouse. The next morning, just as dawn was breaking, I walked out into the living room. Chloe, Sharon, and Kevin were sprawled on the couch and chairs, each with dark circles under their eyes, looking exhausted and tense. The moment she saw me, Chloe sprang to her feet. "What took you so long? Let's go." She rushed me, her eyes filled with an unbearable urgency, as if every extra second in my presence was a stain on her brilliant future. I said nothing, just calmly washed up and changed my clothes. On the way to the courthouse, Chloe drove, the car filled with a dead silence. Her phone, however, rang nonstop. "Hey, Sarah. Yes, I passed. Top score on the written exam." "Oh, it was just luck, really. We'll be colleagues soon, so you'll have to show me the ropes." "Tonight?" "Oh, I can't. We're having a big family dinner to celebrate." She didn't use her Bluetooth, putting every single call on speaker. Her triumphant, boastful tone, every single word, was broadcast loud and clear for me to hear. She was painting a picture of her glorious future for the entire world, and I was the blemish from her past that she was racing to erase. When we got to the county courthouse, there was already a line. At 9 o'clock, the doors opened, and we were the first ones inside. Photos, forms, signatures, fingerprints. The whole process was unbelievably fast. When the clerk handed us the official divorce decrees, I saw Chloe let out a long, deep sigh of relief. Her face was a picture of pure, unadulterated joy and liberation. "I'm free," her expression screamed. "I'm finally free of you." She didn't want to spend another second in my presence. Decree in hand, she turned and walked out. On the courthouse steps, she stopped and turned around, as if to deliver a final farewell speech. People were coming and going, but she didn't care. "Leo, as of this moment, we are done," she declared, her chin held high, drawing a line in the sand. "I expect you to never show up in my life again, especially not anywhere near my office. I can't afford the embarrassment." Sharon and Kevin closed in around her, wearing the triumphant smirks of victors. "You hear that? Stay away from our Chloe." "Yeah, don't you know your place?" Look in a mirror. Just as Chloe was savoring her moment of victory, ready to turn her back on me for good, my phone rang. The timing was perfect. I pulled it out and glanced at the caller ID. 911 dispatch. As Chloe watched impatiently, I answered the call, and I hit the speaker button. "Is this Leo Clark? Are you coming to get this guy or not?" A gruff voice boomed from the phone. "Your father-in-law, Robert Anderson, has been here all night. He's had enough coffee to float a battleship. If you don't get here soon, we'll have to follow procedure and notify his employer." Robert Anderson. The name exploded like a thunderclap on the courthouse steps. The smug, arrogant smile on Chloe's face froze solid. Her complexion went from rosy to pale to a ghastly, bloodless white. "WH, what did you say?" "Who?" Sharon was the first to react, letting out a scream that could shatter glass. Kevin just stood there, his mouth hanging open wide enough to catch flies. I hung up the phone. Looking at their petrified faces, I carefully tucked the freshly issued divorce decree into the inside pocket of my jacket. Then I looked up and smiled. "Oh, I forgot to tell you. The one who got arrested, that was your dad." I didn't look back. I drove straight to the office and blocked the numbers of Chloe, Sharon, and Kevin. My world was instantly quiet. I handled my work as usual, meetings, reports, as if the morning's earth-shattering drama had been nothing more than a movie I'd watched. In the afternoon, a text came in from Matt. It included a video, filmed from a distance. In it, Chloe and her family were causing a massive scene in front of the courthouse. Sharon was on the ground, kicking and screaming, while Chloe shrieked like a madwoman. Eventually, a couple of security guards had to drag them away. It was a pathetic sight. Matt followed up with a voice message. "Dude, epic." That woman's face turned greener than my crypto portfolio. "Sweet justice." I smiled and texted back, "Thanks." It wasn't long before my phone started blowing up with calls and messages from blocked numbers and new social media accounts. It had to be Chloe. The messages perfectly chronicled her descent from disbelief to fury, and finally, to utter despair. "Leo, you liar. You're not human. Why didn't you tell me sooner? You did this on purpose, didn't you? You planned this from the start. You wanted to ruin me. You manipulative snake. I must have been blind to ever fall for you." Next came the vicious curses, words so vile they were almost impressive. And then, the curses turned into tearful pleas. Leo, I'm begging you, please pick up the phone. Can we please talk? You can't tell anyone about this. What about my background check? Sharon's voice messages were interspersed with Chloe's texts, a wailing, screeching tirade calling me a monster, an ingrate, a backstabbing dog she never should have lent her house. Leo, you son of a bitch. You've ruined our whole family. What did we ever do to you to deserve this? The most pathetic of all was Kevin. He sent a direct, naked threat. You just wait, Clark. If my sister loses that job, I'm gonna fucking kill you. I looked at the hysterical messages on my screen and just felt a dull noise. I walked leisurely to the window, lit a cigarette, and took a deep drag. The nicotine calmed me. I looked at Kevin's threat, thought for a moment, and typed a reply. You want to kill me? Fine. But first, you should probably pay back that loan you owe Rico over on the west side. Oh, and I forgot to tell you. Rico's number. I forwarded it to your mom. The message had barely been sent when Kevin's name lit up my screen, a frantic incoming call. I watched the screen, a cold smirk on my lips, declined the call, and blocked his number. I knew. The first domino I had pushed over had landed exactly where it was supposed to. Now, all I had to do was watch the chain reaction. For a few days, my life was peaceful. Work, gym, dinner with friends. It was as if Chloe and her family had simply vanished from the earth. Until Friday afternoon. I was leaving the office, about to get in my car. A haggard figure suddenly darted out from behind a planter by the entrance, blocking my path. It was Chloe. In just a few days, she had become a completely different person. The arrogance was gone. The perfect makeup was gone. Her hair was a mess. Her eyes were sunken in dark circles, and her skin was a sallow yellow. She radiated an aura of pure defeat. When she saw me, a flicker of light appeared in her eyes. She lunged at my car, pounding on the driver's side window. Husband, please open the door. It's me, Chloe. Husband. The words sounded absolutely ridiculous coming from her lips. I emotionlessly rolled the window halfway down and stared at her. Ms. Anderson, we're divorced. Have some self-respect. My coldness seemed to stun her for a second, but then she started crying even harder. Leo, I was wrong. I was so wrong. She sobbed, her words tumbling out in a jumbled mess. My dad's arrest. Someone leaked it to the state personnel board. They said my father has a serious character issue, and my background check. My background check has been suspended. When she said suspended, she completely fell apart, her body sliding down the side of the car until she was a weeping heap on the pavement. Oh, so that was it. I felt nothing, not a flicker of pity. Leo, I know it was you, wasn't it? She asked, looking up at me, her face streaked with tears. It was my fault. I was out of my mind. I never should have divorced you. For the sake of everything we had, can we get remarried? We can go back to the courthouse tomorrow. She struggled to her feet, reaching for my hand. I recoiled in disgust, snatching my hand away. Remarry? I looked at her as if she had just told the funniest joke of the century. Chloe, when you found out you aced that exam, was all this talk about everything we had? My question struck her dumb. Her mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. All she could do was repeat a weak, useless defense. I wasn't thinking straight. It was my mom. She forced me. She said you weren't good enough for me. Still blaming others. Some things never change. I let out a cold laugh, devoid of any warmth. Don't. Your mother didn't force you to say you wish my father would just die. That sentence was a shard of ice, and it plunged straight into her heart. Her face went completely white. Just then, screech. The sound of tires tearing across pavement. A beat-up van, driving with aggressive recklessness, swerved and screeched to a halt right next to us. The side door slid open with a clatter. Several burly men covered in tattoos jumped out, looking for trouble. The one in the lead, a bald man with a thick gold chain around his neck, spotted Chloe on the ground instantly. Without a word, he strode over, grabbed a fistful of her hair, and hauled her to her feet. You Kevin's sister? The bald man growled. He owes our boss, Rico, a lot of money. Said you'd be the one to pay it back. Chloe had never been in a situation like this. She was terrified, her face ashen. The searing pain in her scalp and the raw fear in her gut made her let out a piercing scream. Who are you? Let me go. Instinctively, she looked at me, her eyes pleading as if I were her last hope. Leo, help me. Please help me. The bald man's eyes followed her gaze to me, still sitting in the car. He looked me up and down, his expression menacing. Who are you? Her husband. I felt no panic at all. I slowly reached into the inside pocket of my jacket and pulled out the crisp, new divorce decree. I held it up for him to see. The words decree of divorce were perfectly clear in the fading afternoon light. A stranger, I said. Her family's business has nothing to do with me. Before they could react, I slammed my foot on the gas. The engine roared to life, and the car shot forward. In the rearview mirror, Chloe's horrified face and the bald man's stunned expression shrank into the distance. I ignored her desperate screams of my name. I didn't slow down. Help her? Why should I? When she and her family threw me out like trash, did they ever think this day would come? I didn't go back to the condo. That place, once my home, now felt contaminated. I drove straight to the new apartment I had already rented. A clean, bright one-bedroom. Everything brand new. I took a long, hot shower, changed into fresh clothes, and opened a bottle of wine. I sat by the floor-to-ceiling window, looking out at the city lights. My phone was quiet. Without Chloe's constant harassment, the world was a beautiful place. Until around 10 o'clock, when an unknown number called. I answered. On the other end was Sharon's hysterical, heart-wrenching sob. Leo, you soulless bastard. Do you have any conscience at all? Those monsters took Chloe. They said if we don't pay, they won't let her go. You have to pay the ransom. She's your wife. I swirled the wine in my glass, my voice calm. Oh, how much do they want? Thinking she had a chance, Sharon latched on like a drowning woman to a lifeline. 50,000. With interest and penalties, they want $50,000. Leo, I know you've saved up some money over the years. Please use it to save Chloe. I'm begging you. I'll get on my knees. Oh, 50,000, I said nonchalantly. Then I added, I don't have it. The wailing on the other end of the line stopped dead. I could picture Sharon's stunned and furious face. Before she could start screaming again, I continued in a slow, deliberate tone. However, I seem to recall that old house your family owns is in the path of a new development, isn't it? It's in a pretty good location. Should be worth a lot. Sell it, and you'll have the money. Sharon was speechless. That old house was her nest egg, the sacred inheritance she was saving for her precious son Kevin to get married. By the way, I added, as if suddenly remembering something, I've already called the police. I told them my ex-wife, Chloe Anderson, has been unlawfully detained by a group of unidentified men. As for the location, I gave them my office address. They should be able to find everyone pretty quickly. But about your debt to Rico, the police said that's a civil matter. It's your problem, not theirs. With that, I didn't give her a chance to say another word. I hung up. I had just severed their last, desperate hope. They wanted my money. In their dreams, not only would I not give them a dime, I was going to be the one to light the match that made their whole world go up in flames. The police were surprisingly efficient. With the state cracking down on illegal debt collection practices, Rico and his crew didn't want to escalate things. They let Chloe go. But even with her back, it was far from over. The loan sharks were now her problem. Pay your debts was spray painted in red across their front door daily. Their windows were broken in the middle of the night, their keyhole filled with superglue. Chloe's dream of a prestigious government career, crushed between a father arrested for soliciting a prostitute and a family being harassed by loan sharks, evaporated into thin air. Sharon, in a desperate attempt to protect the old house for her son and force my hand, came up with what she thought was a brilliant plan. She brought the shell-shocked Chloe and the suddenly reappeared Kevin to a locksmith, who picked the lock on our old condo. They moved right in. Then, she sent me a text message, dripping with self-righteous indignation. Leo, the deed to this condo is in my daughter's name, which means it's hers. Don't even think about trying to take it. If you try to kick us out, we'll die in this condo and haunt you for the rest of your life. I read the text and laughed. Die here? Fine by me. I made a call to a friend of mine who was a lawyer. The next day, I didn't go alone. I went with my lawyer and 2 imposing security guards she'd hired. And, of course, I brought the most important documents, the original property deed, the purchase agreement, and the complete record of every single mortgage payment from my bank account. Kevin answered the door. He saw the entourage behind me and froze for a second before puffing out his chest. What do you want? This is my sister's house. I ignored him and walked straight in. When Sharon saw me, she immediately dropped to the floor and began her performance, slapping her thighs and wailing. Is there no justice in the world? My ex-son-in-law is bringing thugs to steal our home. Everyone come and see. This ungrateful monster is trying to kill us. I didn't even spare her a glance. I let my lawyer handle it. She was a sharp, professional woman. She calmly took a file from her briefcase and addressed the three of them in a clear, emotionless voice. Good morning. I am Mr. Clark's legal counsel. According to the purchase agreement, bank statements, and notarized documents provided by Mr. Clark, the down payment and all subsequent mortgage payments for this property were paid exclusively by him. Although the property is registered in Ms. Chloe Anderson's name, it is legally considered a conditional gift from Mr. Clark to Ms. Anderson. However, my lawyer said, her tone hardening, this gift was contingent upon the continuation of their marital relationship, a condition to which we have both verbal and written evidence, which has been notarized. As Ms. Anderson initiated the dissolution of the marriage, the condition for the gift is no longer met. Therefore, under state property law, Mr. Clark has the right to revoke this gift and reclaim full ownership of the property. Her words landed like a sledgehammer. They were all stunned into silence. The blood drained from Chloe's face. Her lips trembled. What conditional gift? I don't know anything about that. Sharon stopped her wailing and leaped to her feet, ready to lunge at me like a rabid dog. You little bastard. You set us up. The security guards intercepted her before she got close. I looked at them and finally spoke. When we bought this place, you said putting it in your name would make you feel secure. I agreed, but I'm not an idiot, Chloe. I was preparing for this day all along. I gave them my final ultimatum. You have 3 days to vacate my property and return the keys. Otherwise, we will file for an eviction and have the sheriff remove you. I watched the mix of despair, hatred, and disbelief in their eyes, and my own heart was as still as a frozen lake. The game was over. 3 days passed in a blur. At the appointed time, I returned to the condo. When I opened the door, it was clear they hadn't left. The place was a disaster. Old takeout containers were piled in a corner, stinking up the air. Chloe and Sharon sat on the couch, their eyes vacant, like two soulless dolls. Kevin was gone. A hastily scribbled note was left on the coffee table. Sis, Mom, Rico's guys are getting serious. I'm skipping town for a while. You have to get the money somehow, or my life is over. The coward had run again. When she saw me, a flicker of movement returned to Chloe's dead eyes. She slowly stood up and spoke in a voice I'd never heard before, a voice that was eerily calm. Leo, let's talk. Sharon, too, was uncharacteristically quiet, just staring at me with a dark, hateful gaze. A sense of unease crept over me, but I didn't let it show. There's nothing to talk about. Get out, just one last time. Chloe pleaded, her voice raspy. She motioned for me to sit, then went to the kitchen and brought back a glass of water, placing it in front of me. Have some water. I looked at the glass. The water was clear, but it felt tainted. I didn't touch it. Chloe didn't seem to mind. She sat on the sofa opposite me and began to reminisce. She talked about how we first met in college, the stupid things I did to win her over, the happiness of our wedding day. Tears streamed down her face as she spoke. Leo, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I was so greedy, so vain. I let you down. I let your parents down. She confessed her sins, weeping, saying she would do anything, be my slave, if I would just give her one more chance. I listened quietly, as if to a story about strangers, my heart as stone. It was a great performance. Too bad the audience was no longer interested. Seeing that I remained unmoved, my face a blank mask, the last glimmer of hope died in Chloe's eyes. The sorrow and remorse vanished from her face, replaced by a crazed, desperate resolve. She suddenly pulled a gleaming fruit knife from behind a sofa cushion. She pressed the blade to the pale skin of her own throat and screamed at me. If you won't forgive me, then I'll die right here in front of you. Leo, I'll make sure you live with this nightmare for the rest of your life. She expected me to panic, to rush forward and stop her. But I didn't move. Instead, I slowly took out my phone, and I pressed play. Our entire conversation, recorded in perfect clarity, filled the room. From her calm, "Let's talk," to her tearful confession, to her current maniacal threat, every word was there. "Are you done with your performance, Chloe?" I asked coldly. "You're holding the knife backwards. The blade is facing out." She instinctively glanced down. Her face went deathly white. The knife she was using to threaten me had the sharp edge pointed away from her skin. Her entire vicious, manipulative plan was laid bare. She was going to wound herself and frame me for it. Ah! Chloe shattered. She let out an inhuman shriek, raised the knife, and lunged, aiming straight for my face. "I'll kill you." I was ready. The moment she screamed and charged, I kicked the coffee table between us. It flipped over, sending the glass of water and other junk crashing to the floor, blocking her path. Chloe tripped, missed me completely, and slammed hard into the opposite wall. Sharon, who had been sitting silently with that venomous stare, finally exploded. "You dare dodge him? I'll kill you myself." Like a crazed animal, she shrieked, ran into the kitchen, and came back brandishing a heavy, gleaming chef's knife. They came at me from two directions, two blades. They were really trying to kill me. I didn't stay to fight. I immediately backed out the door and, as fast as I could, locked it from the outside. With a heavy thud, I trapped the two of them and all their murderous rage inside that room. I leaned against the door, my heart pounding from the adrenaline. But I didn't hesitate. I immediately dialed 911. "911, what's your emergency? I need to report an assault. Two people are trying to kill me with knives. The address is..." I shouted at the closed door. "If you're going to kill yourselves, don't do it in the house. I just got back. It's bad luck." From inside, I heard more frantic curses and the sound of things being smashed. "Leo, you bastard. Don't you dare leave. Open this door. Open the damn door." They started hacking at the door with the knives, the wood splintering with loud thunks. Suddenly, the cursing and smashing stopped. It was replaced by a single, blood-curdling scream from Chloe. "Ah!" The sound was so full of agony, it barely seemed human. It was followed by Sharon's terrified, shrieking sobs. "Chloe, Chloe, what happened? I didn't mean to. Oh God, I didn't mean to." I leaned against the wall, listening, my face an impassive mask. Soon, I heard the sound of heavy footsteps pounding up the stairs. The police had arrived. "Police, open up." I took out my key and unlocked the door. The moment it swung open, the scene inside stunned everyone. The living room was destroyed, like it had been hit by a hurricane, and Chloe was lying in a pool of blood. The fruit knife was embedded deep in her abdomen. Blood pulsed out from the wound, staining the floorboards a dark crimson. Sharon was kneeling beside her, the bloody chef's knife still in her hand. She was in a state of shock, muttering over and over, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me." A carefully orchestrated drama intended to end my life had concluded with the absurd, grotesque spectacle of them turning on each other. Later, I learned from the police investigation that Chloe had tried to grab the chef's knife from Sharon to stop her from destroying the door. In the struggle, Sharon slipped and Chloe fell forward, impaling herself on the fruit knife she had dropped on the floor earlier. Poetic justice. As the sole witness and reporting party, I calmly gave my statement to the police. I watched as the paramedics loaded Chloe onto a stretcher and as the officers put Sharon in handcuffs. My heart was calm. The months-long farce had finally reached its bloody conclusion. The aftermath was predictable. Chloe was critically injured. She survived, but was left with a permanent disability. Sharon was charged with aggravated assault. With the recording I provided as evidence of her clear intent to harm me, she was sentenced to 5 years in prison. The old family house was seized and auctioned off by the court. Part of the money went to pay off Kevin's loan sharks. The rest was designated as civil damages for Chloe. Robert Anderson, the father, was fired from his job due to the scandal. He became a laughingstock in town, ending up old, alone, and forgotten. A once respectable family, utterly destroyed in a matter of months. A few months later, when the dust had settled, I got a call from the hospital. Chloe wanted to see me one last time. I hesitated, then decided to go. It would be a final funeral for my past. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic. Chloe was lying in bed, so thin she was almost unrecognizable. Her once proud, beautiful face was now just a sallow, haggard mask. When she saw me, Two clear tears rolled from her cloudy eyes. She apologized. Now, I am sorry. I know it's too late for that now. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I deserved all of this. Her voice was a ragged whisper, filled with despair. I just have one thing to ask. Please, when you have time, could you go to the prison and see my mom? She's all alone in there. I looked at her, this woman I had once loved for so many years. Now all I felt was the vast, cold distance between us. I cut her off. That day at the courthouse, you asked me if I felt any loyalty to the past. I'm here to give you the answer. I looked her straight in the eye. I don't. With that, I took an envelope from my pocket and placed it on her bedside table. She looked at me, confused. This is the receipt for that designer handbag I bought you for your birthday, I said flatly. Your mother smashed it. A shame. It was the last dollar I ever spent on you. Here's the receipt. Maybe you can take it to the store, see if you can get a refund. Give the money to your mom. She can buy some necessities in the commissary. After saying this, I didn't look at her again. I turned and walked out of that suffocating room, and I never looked back. Behind me, I could hear the sound of her muffled, hopeless sobs. But that had nothing to do with me anymore.